For all Pompey merchandise, visit or call Pompey Sport on 023 9273 8358 or Pompey Sports Mail Order on 023 9229 8233. A new glossy catalogue is out now. And for all your match day, season ticket and Pompey Club inquiries, with many special offers and discounts available, call the ticket office on 023 9261 8777. The Pompey team returned from the summer break to a new season full of optimism and hope. And with the financial backing of Chairman Milan Mandaric, some new faces had decided to pledge themselves to the Pompey cause. Linvoy Primus, Mladen Rudonja, Tom Curtis and Nigel Quasi. And of course a club record signing, Lee Mills, the clearest indication yet of the club's newfound ambition. But manager Tony Pulis was being a little more cautious.
I think we've got to be realistic and you've got to be honest. And I think over the last month or so, I think supporters around the place have realised and recognised that, you know, although this is a great club and it can be, it can get there, it will take us some time to do it.
Fans' favourite Steve Claridge started the season injured.
Both the injuries were quite major injuries. And I was out for, you know, not weeks but months with them both. And you do start to wonder if you know, you've played your last game and will the club leave you behind. Obviously I was later to find out that was the case.
The season kicks off away to Sheffield United, where Pompey have lost 17 of the last 18 visits. And when Justin Edinburgh brought down Paul Devlin, loss number 18 looked on the way. The former Birmingham striker made no mistake from the spot. Pompey almost got back on level terms when United nearly put the ball in their own net. But Pompey went one better than United when, with 5 minutes to go, Linvoy Primus marked his league debut with an impressive own goal. First home game now, and a big crowd had to wait until 71 minutes for Lee Bradbury to put Pompey in the lead. But it was a case of 2 points lost rather than one gained as Paul Smith volleyed home for the visitors. Pompey wasted a hatful of chances as they grounded out a goalless draw in this first round Worthington Cup clash. Steve Claridge had forgotten his scoring boots, but the former Cambridge player was just glad to be back in action.
I was pleased with my reception, and it made it a really good night for me because every time I touched the ball I was clapped by the Cambridge fans. Obviously, I got a good reception from the Pompey fans my first game back, and that was a really good night for me.
A Friday night television game took Tony Pulis back to his former club.
Here's Ty Gooden. It's a good cross, and it's a header in from Andy Thompson. Quasi. Edinburgh's cross. Torgerson flung himself at it. It's more! It's the equaliser! The Portsmouth bench for one brief moment erupted there as Moore's equaliser hit the back of the net. That means so much to Tony Pulis on his return to Priestfield. Portsmouth are level.
Steve Claridge grabbed a superb first-half hat-trick as Pompey cruised to a 3-1 win over big spending Wolves. Claridge showed he'd lost none of his sharpness in front of goal after his injury layoff and completed his treble in only 32 minutes to stun his former club. Tamuri Ketsbaya pulled a goal back for the visitors in first-half stoppage time, but Pompey had done enough, and one Stevie Claridge was the star of the show.
It always helps when you get a hat-trick, obviously, especially so easy early in the season. It was against Wolves, so I don't think I'll be getting a warm reception when I go back up there this season, however. No, I mean, obviously that settles you down a bit. You know, you've got three goals already that season. You know, and as a goal scorer, people always look at you, you know, the goal scorer. That sort of settled my nerves a little bit, you know, and you know, from then on it's been okay.
So, month one is over, and Pompey are sitting in 10th place with 5 points from their 4 games, and fortunately not in the bottom half near the drop zone. An encouraging start to the season for Tony Pulis and his players. September kicked off away at Preston North End.
Plays it back nicely for Alexander. In comes across, not a bad looking one either. Rankin will leap, he does well. Basham sheet! What a goal from Steve Basham! Pranis rather picks up the ball. Steve Claridge has just come off his man. In comes the cross. Cregan slips at the last minute. North End not clearing the lines, but straight at Tepe is Pranis. That's a delightful ball for Koshi. Edwards commits himself, and a real danger for North End. In comes the ball. Claridge is there, and it's headed wide.
Second leg action in the Worthington Cup, and after a great build-up by Pompey, record signing Lee Mills scores his first goal for the club. Pompey were disappointing, but the relief for the former Bradford man was obvious as his goal put Pompey in round 2. It's often easy to put a defeat down to just one of those days, but this was surely one of them. Despite Pompey hitting the post twice and playing well, Watford were 3-0 up on the hour. Still, Pompey didn't give up, and Nigel Quasi smashed home a consolation goal for the home side. But Steve Claridge still didn't think Pompey did themselves justice.
I was a little bit disappointed because I thought that Watford weren't as good as people were making out. And I thought that was a game that we could have won.
2 goals in the final 10 minutes sent Pompey to their second victory of the season. But Tranmere were hard to break down despite being reduced to 10 men when Ruben Hazel was red-carded on the stroke of half-time. On 80 minutes, Lee Mills scored his second of the season after a great run by Kwasi. Lee Bradbury wrapped up all 3 points with Pompey's second, with just a little bit of help from the Rovers' defence. Next stop, Bolton's Reebok Stadium, and despite having their fair share of possession, Pompey would come home empty-handed. Pompey nearly took the lead with an early chance put wide. But just before half-time, Dean Holsworth rifled home the ball from 10 yards. And substitute Michael Ricketts ensured Pompey went home with nothing, scoring 3 minutes from time. A cold, wet Lancashire evening saw Pompey effectively out of the Worthington Cup as Blackburn score 4. Lee Carsley with a free kick. Jason Thomas, 3 minutes later. Ex-Saints striker Egil Ostenstadt sealed the game with Blackburn's third. And Pompey knew it wasn't their night when Mladen Radonja hit the post and Lee Mills couldn't follow up the rebound. And the tie was effectively sealed when Jason Thomas scored his second and Blackburn's fourth on the hour, and the Blues were looking at the Worthington Cup exit door. After the crushing defeat, Chairman Milan Mandaric surprised fans with a generous offer to refund tickets for those who'd made the long trek to Blackburn at the height of the petrol crisis.
You know, he felt that we let the club down. I think he realises now that it just wasn't just the players. There was more to it than that. Obviously, he's disappointed for the supporters who made that trip. You know, we were disappointed the way that we performed, and no, it's just a typical gesture of a good man, I suppose.
A welcome return to league action saw striker Jason Roberts, who rejected a move to Fratton Park in the summer, score the winner in the 56th minute in a game Pompey dominated. The pressure was mounting on manager Tony Pulis as the chairman demanded 2 wins from 3.
He's got to say what he's got to say, and if he wants to say things like that, that's up to him. He owns the football club. I'll work as hard as I possibly can. The thing is with me is that, and I think it's the British mentality, is when you're up against it, I think you show your true colours, and I'll keep working as hard as I possibly can. I've got a good dressing room, they're good lads, and they'll keep working as hard as they can. If the chairman wants to change, that's up to him.
Pompey went out of the Worthington Cup after failing to overcome the mountainous tasks they'd set themselves at Ewood Park. But the smallest crowd ever at Fratton Park saw a much improved performance, with substitute Luke Nightingale giving Pompey the lead on 76 minutes. Blackburn's David Dunn equalised late on, and Blackburn went through 5-1 on aggregate. A visit to Turf Moor now, where Nigel Quasi nearly gave Pompey an early lead. But Steve Claridge made no mistake. But in the very last minute, Pompey threw away 2 points to end the month with a draw. A disappointing second month of the season put Pompey in the bottom half of the table, down in 18th place, gaining only 4 points from their last 6 games. Back on the road to Stockport, where Lee Mills put Portsmouth ahead after 10 minutes. Deja vu in the last minute when Pompey threw the win away when Kevin Cooper equalised. To add to Pompey's disappointing day, Lee Mills hobbled off and he'd be out injured up to 3 months.
Those 2 games, were there for the taking. They weren't particularly good sides, either of them. We dominated the game for long periods and then hadn't managed to make our superiority count. We get the goal and then, like I say, we concede in the last couple of minutes. But it was desperately disappointing, of course. But I don't know. I just think that things weren't right at that stage anyway. So I think it was disappointment tinged with a bit of sadness that possibly if we were the better team, and if we'd have been in some aspects allowed to show that, I think we would have beaten them quite easily, those 2 sides on the day.
Off the field, sadly, things were not right between manager Tony Pulis and chairman Milan Mandaric, who decided to release Tony from his role as manager to fight a legal case with a former employer after only 10 months in charge. The Pulis era was over. The new era was a Claridge era, as the Pompey hero is offered the hot seat by the chairman, and he immediately recalled on-loan Pompey scoring legend Guy Whittingham as his assistant. Claridge couldn't believe the opportunity and was as surprised as anyone to be asked.
I think, to be fair, the chairman had so many names thrown at him. He was just fed up with the whole scenario, the whole situation with agents and managers. And when he rang me, I don't know, it's just difficult to describe, isn't it? But, I couldn't believe it at first. And then we sat down and we talked, and I just thought that there was more to the players and the club than people had seen, especially over recent years. And it was an ideal opportunity, really. It was an opportunity that was too good to miss.
So the Claridge era kicked off against struggling Sheffield Wednesday, and on 22 minutes, Thomas Torgerson picked his spot from 22 yards. Just after the restart, the fairy tale was complete as the newly appointed player-manager scored in front of his adoring fans. Pompey were made to sweat when the visitors scored. Owen Morrison drove home with 23 minutes to go. But it was Steve Claridge's day, and he made it look so easy.
Steve Claridge, piece of cake, this management game, isn't it?
What an awful question that is. Absolutely not. I mean, if you'd have seen me last 20 minutes, you'd have realised, no, it was nail-biting stuff at the end. Silly goal to give away. You know, I mean, they should never have been in the game at that stage. We've played some good stuff for an hour. It's only really been one side in it, and then we've given a silly goal away, and they've come back strong. But it was nail-biting at the end, but fortunately, the second goal was enough, and I think we got the right result.
Next visitors were Dario Gradi's Crew, and Pompey were looking to pick up where they left off against Wednesday. That didn't include Scott Hiley, tripping Mark Reaver to award Crew a penalty. Sean Smith smashed home the spot kick to take the lead. But Crew's Paul Tate received his marching orders just a minute later. As Tate left the field, a four-legged Pompey fan decided to make a short-lived debut, but was soon caught by Pompey staff. And Pompey was soon back on level terms as Torgerson hit home a powerful shot on 66 minutes. With a one-man advantage, Pompey made it count when Justin Edinburgh burst into the box and won a penalty. And the player-manager gleefully struck it home to the delight of his teammates and the frat men. But a trip to Palace was where the Steve Claridge Roy of the Rovers story would reach new heights. A woeful first-half performance saw Pompey go behind to a super shot from Tommy Black. Then a defender and goalkeeper error gifted Black his second. But Pompey battled, and a collision by the Palace keeper with his own defender let in Claridge to pull a goal back on the stroke of half-time. Pompey now had a new spirit in the second half, and on the hour, Torgerson brought the scores level. The players and the fans sensed it was their day, and with 10 minutes to go, Michael Panopoulos scored the winner to seal a memorable away victory. For a rare occasion, Pompey had gone behind away from home and come back to gain a result.
For 2 years now, if we were going to go behind away from home, we were dead and buried. You know, in effect, that was game over. Palace was nothing. I just changed the formation. I went to a 5. They were better than us in midfield. We'd lost the battle in midfield. I put an extra man in there, used the wings, got the ball out wide. Thankfully, Kerry just got himself fit, and you know, that's really what changed the game for us.
Pompey showed the other side to their new character as they chiselled out a hard-fought point at Carrow Road to extend their unbeaten run to 7 matches. The unbeaten run continued against promotion-chasing Birmingham City in some of the worst weather conditions ever witnessed at Fratton Park. Lee Bradbury put Pompey ahead on 40 minutes. In the second half, Pompey looked to consolidate the lead, but got off to a nightmare start as Linvoy Primers pulled down Andy Johnson. But City defender Martin Granger had his spot kick pushed onto the bar by keeper Russell Holt. But hero Holt turned villain as Adebola scored a soft equalising goal less than a minute later. Play continued in some of the worst conditions ever seen at Fratton Park, but Lee Bradbury nearly regained the lead, except for an excellent save from Bennett. And the Pompey fans and players thought Thomas Torgerson had won it in the last minute, but the linesman thought otherwise. A memorable day for those lucky and wet enough to have been there. A great month for Pompey, unbeaten all October, climbing back up to 11th in the table, 12 points from their last 6 games. One of their best runs in recent years puts Pompey well away from the drop zone, with raising hopes for the rest of the season. November saw former Pompey skipper Adrian Whitbread leave the club on loan after playing a major part in Pompey's fortunes in the 90s. And following the soaking of away fans in the roofless Milton End, Milan Mandaric offered them cheaper admissions to future games. But Steve Claridge had an injury crisis on the eve of the trip to QPR.
We had 12 fit pros and 2 apprentices and the goalkeeper on there. They hadn't made, I think the bench, there wasn't 5 first team appearances between the bench. So it gave you some indication of what. And I had to play Andy Orford, so that's an even clearer indication of how bad we were.
Canadian striker Paul Pesky-Solido put Rangers ahead on 10 minutes with a little bit of luck. But Lee Bradbury equalised early in the second half to earn a point for an injury-ravaged Pompey side.
We were down to bare bones, but yeah, we got a goal down, 10 minutes, struggling, and then yet again, back we come, and got a result and should have won the game.
The new Claridge era continued against in-form Blackburn, ex-Saint Mark Hughes hitting the bar early on. Nigel Quasi put the Blues in front with a minute to go in the first half with a sweet left-foot shot. But a debatable free kick gave Stig Bjornaby a chance to score with a well-flighted, wind-assisted curler past keeper Holt, seconds from the half-time whistle. Pompey pushed forward in the second half and regained the lead with a goal of real quality. But second half substitute Matt Janssen scored to earn a point for the visitors, but no one could fault the fighting spirit and quality shown by the Pompey team that was needing just a little bit of luck. 6,000 Pompey fans travelled to league leaders Fulham, but Pompey were chasing shadows when Barry Hales put Fulham ahead on 11 minutes. He should have made it 2 a minute later, but Holt made a great save. Lee Bradbury had a chance made by Claridge, and perhaps he should have done better. But a minute from half-time, Pompey ripped up the league table form and Claridge scored a deserved equaliser to send the travelling blue and white army wild. But hope of an upset was cruelly ended when Linvoy Primus was harshly sent off for a second bookable offence. And when Kerry Hughes suffered the same fate, it was just a matter of time before Fulham took control. Fulham made the advantage count as Hales got his second on 69 minutes. Lee Clark scored Fulham's third with 10 minutes to go, but the 6,000 fans who made the trip still sang on. And despite the behaviour of a small minority, the team were proud of the support that had followed them, something the manager recognises.
I don't think people realise what a difference it makes. It turns an away game into almost a neutral venue, and it does even the sides up, because we had nearly as many as they did at the ground. So it turned it almost into a neutral venue, which for us was ideal. And it's no coincidence that the way we've played. The last 3 away games have been in London. We've taken massive support, and we haven't let anyone down, and that's not due only to the players but the supporters as well.
Pompey picked themselves up after Fulham and make the long trip to Barnsley. But a calamity goalkeeping error by Russell Holt gave Bruce Dyer the chance to clinch all 3 points for Barnsley and end Pompey's month with 2 defeats. Good performances sadly don't necessarily win you points, and with Fulham setting the pace for promotion, Pompey dropped back into the second half of the table in 13th place. But Steve Claridge is pleased with managerial life so far, and he's got high hopes for the Pompey team for the rest of the season.
I just want to let people play. I want to give them good shape, good balance. I hope the boys are happy with what we're doing. Hope they look forward to the games, they look forward to training, and I just want to make the club realise the potential that it has.
To bounce back from 2 defeats with victory over Norwich means December has started very well. And I hope you'll rejoin us to watch Super Steve's blue and white army in action in 2001. Play up, Pompey.